maybe what you've done in Connecticut on a state level, the idea of AR-15 ban nationally. But you have a Supreme Court that last year in the Bruin case seems to make it very difficult, if not impossible, to enact legislation to save lives from gun violence. Can something withstand the scrutiny of this far-right court?
Well, that's up for debate. The formal holding of the Bruin decision is fairly narrow, about a very specific law in New York. But there's language attached to that decision, very purposefully, very clinically, designed to essentially invite district court judges and appellate court judges to bring their politics into the courtroom. What the rest of that decision hints at is that the Supreme Court may rule that any prohibition or any regulation of guns that didn't exist at the founding of this country is unconstitutional.
Chris Murphy goes out and whines about the Bruin decision. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms for Onerous certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And if you like my channel, like my content, you can support me through the links in the description box below. But let's talk about this. I came across this here. This was done, it says 3 days ago, but this is our illustrious senator from Connecticut who went on salon.com and gave what clearly was a one-sided view of not only the Bruin decision, but gun control in general. And I want to give you little snippets. Now, to the YouTube moderators, I'm using this video for commentary and reaction. I am not using the entire video. It actually will be cut up into general points because I quite honestly don't want to hear him talk. But let's go ahead and watch that.
And welcome to Salon Talks. Today, very happy to welcome United States Senator Chris Murphy. Senator Murphy, welcome to Salon Talks. Nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Sure. So, last June, first time in decades, bipartisan gun reform legislation passed. You're a primary sponsor of it. And could you remind people, close the boyfriend loophole, but a few of the main things from it? And then has there been any indication about the impact of it? Has it helped in reducing gun violence in our nation?
This is the first major gun safety legislation passed by Congress in 30 years. Your second part of the question is, has it made a difference? And the short answer is it has.
There are certain things that people talk about a great deal of the time. You have closing the background, check loopholes, that kind of opening there. Maybe what you've done in Connecticut on a state level, the idea of AR-15 ban nationally. But you have a Supreme Court that last year in the Bruin case seems to make it very difficult, if not impossible, to enact legislation to save lives from gun violence. Can something withstand the scrutiny of this far-right court?
Well, that's up for debate. The formal holding of the Bruen decision is fairly narrow, about a very specific law in New York. But there's language attached to that decision, very purposefully, very clinically, designed to essentially invite district court judges and appellate court judges to bring their politics into the courtroom. What the rest of that decision hints at is that the Supreme Court may rule that any prohibition or any regulation of guns that didn't exist at the founding of this country is unconstitutional. Now, that's absolutely absurd because many of the weapons that we are dealing with today did not exist at the time of the founding, and there's no way that our founding fathers believed that the Constitution didn't allow you to regulate anything that was invented after the Constitution was passed. But that's what district court and appellate court judges are beginning to do, to say that if it wasn't regulated in the 1780s, it can't be regulated today. And that is a pathway to invalidate, almost all of our gun laws, because any crime that wasn't a crime back then You can't prohibit people from buying guns if they've been convicted of a new crime that didn't exist in 1780. Assault weapons didn't exist back then, so you can't prohibit those. So we're definitely headed towards a very dangerous place where Congress and state legislatures may be prohibited from passing, many of the common sense gun laws that enjoy broad public support today. That's how radical this court is, and how sort of, and again, I use the word clinical. I mean, they are very purposeful in that, they put out these rulings that are technically narrow, but invite lower courts to engage in, much more sweeping jurisprudence.
You've tweeted something that was really provocative to me, that we have to address the massive explosion of guns in the United States in dealing with gun violence. How do we do that? I agree with you 100%. We have more guns than people in this country. We have more mass shootings in days of the year. It continues. So background checks and banning AR-15 maybe withstands its court, but we have a massive gun issue in the streets and the towns of our nation. What can we do?
Yeah, and I don't really think people understand how big a problem this is and how quickly it has come to overwhelm us. That tweet was accompanied by a chart, and I encourage people to look at it. It was just from a couple days ago. Detectives in Bridgeport, Connecticut told me the other day, it used to be that a group of kids that were involved in risky behaviors, they'd not only have a community gun, they'd all know where the gun was if they needed it. Now every single kid is armed. Every car has a weapon. And so what happens is every dispute turns into a shooting. Mm-hmm. That same detective in Bridgeport told me, I don't respond to fistfights anymore. They just don't happen. Kids don't have fistfights in Bridgeport. Every beef turns into shots fired. And that is connected to the ubiquity of weapons. So what do we do about it? It's really hard. We can do gun buybacks. That has a pretty narrow scale effect. But this is a problem that we're just living with right now. And we're not talking about, nor will we talk about, gun confiscation. And so you're just trying at this point to stop the problem from getting even worse.
We hear people on the right talk about their concern for children, which is great, but they use it to pass legislations often to demonize people.
And it is beyond me why Republicans who claim to care about the health of our kids don't seem to give a crap about our children who are being exposed to these epidemic, cataclysmic rates of gun violence.
Heard that and you saw that. Isn't it funny how he says that Republicans don't care about children? This is coming from the man who represents the party who says that abortion is okay. And even has gone as far as to say it's okay up until the day before birth. But Republicans don't care about children. Here's the man who supports the ending of a life. But I'm not going to spend too much time here because, like I said, you can watch the video in its entirety and you'll find it to just be a lopsided, biased, slanted interview, being gaslighted by the interviewer and being purported by Murphy himself. But I'm going to come over to here. Okay. Now, I went into it a little bit, but I'm going to jump right down. This is from the Salon, but I'm come down to here. Murphy went on to slam Republicans who so often claim to care about children, but block efforts to protect their lives from gun violence. Because being stabbed to death in your co-ed dorm room is okay. Being run over at a Christmas parade is okay. None of that matters. Being stabbed, like Pennsylvania, I've talked about it before, being stabbed at your high school, that's okay. But God forbid you're shot. But it is beyond me why Republicans who claim to care about the health of our kids don't seem to give a crap about our children who are being exposed to these epidemic, cataclysmic rates of gun violence, he said, because gun violence is the only thing they have to worry about. These people are so twisted. It's frightening. It's just absolutely frightening how twisted they are. Because let me be clear. And I'm not going to get too deep into this because I just want to expose this. Let me be absolutely clear. I can say allegedly. Murphy and all these other people who are pushing for this gun violence nonsense don't care about these people. It is only somebody that they can use to push for an agenda that has nothing to do with guns. Because if they get their way and all the guns disappear and violence continues, you'll never hear them say anything about it ever again. because they've achieved what they want to achieve. They don't care about these people. They don't. Murphy said nothing about what happened in Idaho. He said very little about what happened in Waukesha. But you saw him front and center for Uvalde. You saw him front and center for what happened in another Texas school shooting. They don't care. But you saw a lot and heard a lot of that. You know, I just wanted to put that out there, bring it to the forefront. And they keep talking about this gun law that, gun control law they passed, where they said it's the most significant gun control in 30 years. But what has it done for the state of violence? Zero. As a matter of fact, violence is escalating. And their solution for this escalation in gun violence is we want more gun control. And when they get more gun control and the violence continues to escalate, they're going to say we need more gun control. It's an ends to a means. And it's absolute nonsense. So, already, they have this new background check for 18 to 20-year-olds. That's being challenged, I think, in Pennsylvania. That's being challenged already, which it should be. We can send you off to the military and you can go die for your country, but you can't buy a gun when come on. But all this is, I just wanted to bring the video to light, because the only people that are going to see it are people with the salon.com mindset and tunnel vision. And they're going to sit there and hoot and cheer for this nonsense. It's gaslighting garbage. And I'm going to leave the article also. I want you to, the article is pretty much, once again, very slanted, very one-sided, as you can imagine. They talk about Sandy Hook, but they don't mention that not a few months later, we had a poor girl stabbed to death for turning down a prom date. Notice he doesn't talk about her. She don't count. That's how this game is being played. And it's really disturbing. I just wanted to hear it from his own mouth. I said it before, say it again. They don't care about these people. They don't even care about the people who were shot by guns. It's just somebody they could use. And Sandy Hook has always been like at the hub of this whole thing. Be very clear. If Sandy Hook had been carried out any other way, they wouldn't be talking about it. And there are plenty of examples to show you why that's true. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I will see you on the next one. Peace.